Massively multiplayer online role-playing games, one of the greatest genres ever created. Hundreds of games, thousands of hours, and millions of players. The online gaming world is busier now than it's ever been, and the range of games available means no matter what kind of adventure you want to have, you will be able to find it. But these games aren't without their flaws, so in this series, let's examine the 7 deadly sins of MMO design. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife-Hayes. I've been playing and analysing MMO games on YouTube for several years now, and over that time I've come to notice some constants in the development cycle, small things that even big games can do, which really damage the overall experience. So let's analyse the second sin of MMO gaming: gluttony, or feature creep. Before we begin, please consider dropping a like on the video or subbing to the channel and ringing the bell so you don't miss a future video. And a massive thank you to all my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make all my content possible. Right, let's do this. Gluttony, continuous or excessive consumption. I'm making these videos around Christmas time, so we can all be pretty sure what gluttony is. It's just having one more mince pie, just one more chocolate, just one more slice of turkey. Gluttony is an interesting sin, as you have to be in a position of affluence to even consider it. You're only able to eat too much food if you have too much food, or drink too much drink if you have too much drink. So how does gluttony tie in with MMO design? Well, it's the aspect of too much, of having more than you need and filling yourself up. With food, you'd eat a lot of useless junk and empty calories. In games, you'd add a lot of useless features and empty systems. We call this feature creep, or feature bloat. To understand how this happens, we need to understand basic game design and then expand from there. So let's take a look at some simple offline games, then relate those design concepts to MMOs. Let's look at Portal, one of my favourite games. It's a first-person puzzle where you solve 3D mazes by creating 2 connected portals within self-contained rooms. Let's look at the core gameplay mechanic: placing portals on surfaces. This is the very essence of the game. You cannot remove this element. The core gameplay loop is make portals. Now there are a bunch of other features: pick up objects, avoid gunfire, momentum, but the very base game is make portals. How about Dark Souls? Large boss fights and journeying through a land. That's essentially it. The core mechanics you need to finish the game are movement and combat. There are a bunch of other features, like rolling, jumping, blocking, parrying, weapon upgrading, armor swapping, healing items, hidden character plots, but they're all additional features. Yes, they're important to the overall tone of the game, but you only need movement and combat to finish the game. Now with these games, Portal and Dark Souls, the additional features have been carefully added to enhance the main mechanic. Creating portals is more varied when certain surfaces can't be portaled on. Fighting enemies is more varied when you can change weapons. The features the game have enhance the central loop. Everything serves to make the core experience more fleshed out and so make the games better. Now let's look at MMOs. The most common journey is travel through a land, gain experience points, and become more powerful. That's basically it for every MMO. The way you choose to do that can be up to you. The features added to the games can increase the ways you gain experience, such as through fishing, woodcutting, mining, smithing, enchanting, gathering, farming, questing, or combat. The features MMO games develop are always based around their core mechanics. Each feature simply enhances the journey around and gain experience loop. New ways to teleport? Well, they're enhancing the journeying. New ways to gain experience or new skills to do? They're enhancing the experience gaining element. And the reason it's great to add features that enhance the main loop is because that feature will then always be relevant. If your core game is basically journey around and gain experience, then anything that relates to journeying or gaining experience will always be useful to someone because they relate directly back to the essence of the game. But there are 4 main instances when adding a feature may be counterproductive. When that new feature doesn't relate to the main gameplay loop, when the new feature makes other existing features irrelevant, when the new feature has a limited shelf life by design and is guaranteed to eventually become redundant, or when a vast amount of variables are added simply to confuse the players and increase design complexity. If a game receives an update which adds a new feature that either isn't related to the main gameplay mechanics, makes something else irrelevant, is guaranteed to become irrelevant itself, or is purposely too complex to understand, then that feature isn't enhancing the game. It's simply contributing to feature creep. Feature creep can include mini-games and distractions within the game that have no reason to be played. For example, in old school RuneScape there's a minigame called Trouble Brewing, where two teams compete to brew some beer faster than the other. The rewards are some pirate costumes or an item which can increase your chance in the regular game of beer being more valuable. Well, because no one wanted the costumes or brews in-game beer, this minigame is absolutely dead. It doesn't relate to RuneScape's main themes of journeying and gaining experience, so it's now a useless feature. Feature bloat can include skills or abilities that have a better or more useful version of themselves become available. If you were playing a game and used a healing spell that healed 90 health, but then they released a new spell with exactly the same requirements, the same mana cost that healed 90 and cured poison and made you faster for a few seconds, you'd go with that version. This new spell has made the old spell irrelevant, resulting in extra skills that are in the game and take up space in your ability book only to never be used. That is feature bloat. How about adding extra character stats to track more variables? Strength and defense might be too simple. You now need magical defense or melee defense. But what about magical fire defense, magical ice defense, magical lightning defense, defense against evil or good? What about magical lightning defense while jumping, while in cover, while casting an ability? MMOs track many character aspects, and slowly but surely games will add more over time to give the illusion of progression, which results in far too many numbers for a player to keep track of, or those numbers consistently going up. The worst example of feature bloat is when a game adds an entire new system or subsystem that is either overly complex and simply designed to confuse players into spending money, or is designed to become outdated once a new expansion is released and only serves as a stopgap to distract players for a while. So let's examine those. This garish monstrosity of a game is League of Angels. It's everything that's wrong with the gaming industry, and even having this installed on my PC to get this footage made other games on it worse. But just look at this. Each icon is a new system. Your mount level, your armor enhancement, your item level, your battle rating, your angel team setup, your legendary item collection. At its core, this game is sit back and watch while the game autoplays itself, but it is full of systems that only exist to add unnecessary complexity, and each of these systems is obtusely difficult to understand and can slowly be improved by spending money. This is a prime example of a game filling itself with so many features just so the player cannot possibly understand them all, and will never ever be able to maximize their character without simply spending money. But using League of Angels is almost cheating, so how about World of Warcraft? In the Warlords of Draenor expansion, you had your garrison, a base camp where you could send out NPCs on missions and find items to restore the glory of either the Horde or the Alliance. Then Legion came out, and while garrisons were still a thing, they suddenly didn't matter as much, because now it was all about restoring your artifact weapon, which was the most important thing to do. Then Battle for Azeroth happened, and Legion artifact weapons didn't matter at all, and restoring your Heart of Azeroth necklace was what really mattered. Then Shadowlands happened, and the Heart of Azeroth necklace we'd spent so long upgrading, we cast away because new systems existed and we needed to focus on them. World of Warcraft Retail is a prime example of a game releasing a new system with every expansion, not only not tied to the main gameplay loop of adventure and gain experience, but also specifically designed to become outdated once the next expansion rolls round. World of Warcraft also recently had a giant stat squish and has completely redesigned the opening section of the game and the leveling process just to try and deal with its own excessive feature creep. The issue with feature creep is twofold. Firstly, it creates a game environment where you cannot rely on the system you enjoy being permanent. You may find rebuilding a city or restoring a weapon great fun, but come the next expansion, this feature may be removed. You as a player cannot get invested in any element without the constant worry of when will this be taken away from me. The enjoyment you have while playing is always soured by the thought at the back of your mind, the thought saying, "This won't last." The second issue with feature creep is while it may have happened slowly for long-term players and new systems are easy to adapt to if you're given time, it's extremely overwhelming for newer players who start the game and are instantly hit with way too many systems and way too many numbers and variables, and all of them matter and all of them must be mastered, and they somehow all relate to each other. Maybe you played classic RuneScape or old school RuneScape back in the day and this is the user interface you are used to. Well, if you log into RuneScape 3, this is what you'll see. Just look at this chat options panel. There are so many forms of chat and even multiple forms of group, clan or guild chat, including main clan, friends clan, guest clan. This is an intimidating user interface to be greeted with as a first-time player. By comparison, this is what the Elder Scrolls Online looks like. Much more simple, much more minimalist. More features doesn't mean a better game, especially when those features don't relate to the actual core gameplay loop or enhance the main experience, or those features become outclassed or outdated and irrelevant, or worse, they have a limited shelf life by design, meaning time invested in them will eventually always be wasted. Feature creep, to relate it back to Christmas, is like buying a new set of Christmas decorations for your tree every year, making it fuller and fuller and taking up all the branch space and completely overwhelming anyone who looks at it and not realizing the tree itself is starting to break down and decay. Sometimes designers need to stop adding new things and refine the base game first, make the core gameplay loop as good as it can be before applying additional features. Then, please make sure those additional features actually relate to the core gameplay loop of your game, otherwise players will eventually forget them and your game will become bloated. This is also why games like old school RuneScape, Warcraft Classic, or private servers of older builds of many MMOs still flourish to this day, because while they may have fewer features, the features they do have are all built to enhance the core gameplay loop, not simply take up space. The second sin of MMO design: gluttony. Adding so many extra features to your game, you drown out the core gameplay loop, resulting in feature creep. Thanks for watching. Another huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make all my content possible. If you're enjoying the series, you can support the Patreon from only £1 a month, or come chat live on Twitch or join the Discord. Links are all in the description below. Cheers for your time, and as always, have a great day.